time to tell your story, and it's about you. So again, I start off, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Medford, Oregon. I was raised for the most part in the Rogue Valley area, Southern Oregon.
And were you raised with your folks?
Yeah, my stepmom and my dad and my mom and my grandma. Yeah.
And siblings? Do you have brothers, sisters, or?
I got a twin brother. My baby brother passed away a month from his 18th birthday in 2007, and then my older sister about 2.5 years.
She's still living?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She's still alive, yeah. And I had a stepsister for a while too, but they divorced, my dad and my stepmom.
Gotcha. What was home life like growing up?
It wasn't very good.
Tell me more, if you would.
Well, my mom, she was trying to do it by herself. Like after I was 2 years old, they got a divorce, and she got a job working late at this bar. She was a waitress. She started using drugs and stuff, and there's definitely neglect issues. You know what I'm saying? I was molested when I was 4, and then my mom used to tell me like, did she wish I wasn't born, and they like. She thought I was worthless. Yeah. And my stepdad, or no, my stepmom and my father, they were working class people. On the outside looking in, you wouldn't see nothing, but then the neighbors started calling the cops because they could hear us screaming when they beat us. They never did anything about it. It's hard to work with people that denied everything, and then the kids who were scared to say anything, you know what I'm saying?
So in the household is your twin?
My twin.
Younger brother?
My younger brother wasn't born yet. I'm 12.5 years his senior.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, when he was born, we'd all been taken from my father's household because of some abuse issues and stuff like that. And then I lived with my mom, and my brother lived with my grandma, and my sister lived with my auntie. And I was 11 when I got into my mom's stash of mushrooms, and I ate some shroom. I used to grab weed, but I grabbed shrooms this time. And I put them up in the camera case, and I put them in my room. And I came home with some buddies one day after school, and we were gonna go pop some shrooms and go downtown and ride the skateboard around and hang out with some girls. And when I got home, she was hanging out with this guy. He still had an afro. This is 88. This dude, or 89, this dude still had an afro. It was 88. This dude still had an afro. He had lapels and bell bottoms as if he stepped out of a 70s. Yeah, he had big chain and a 70s mustache and everything. And I came in the house, she goes, "Hi, hon." I said, "Hi, Mom, what are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, nothing, just smoking a bowl with Rick. You remember Rick, don't you?" I looked at him, I said, "Nah," and he was smiling at me, a smile you wouldn't want a guy hanging out with your mom and smiling like this. Anyways, she goes, "Yeah, well, you remember Rick, don't you?" I said, "No," and I look at him, and she goes, "Yep, he just got out. He just did 10 years in the pen for a robbery." And I look at the dude, I'm like, "Mom, I'm only 11. How do I remember this guy?" And she goes, "Oh, well, we're just gonna be hanging out, you know." I said, "Okay, cool." So I go to my room, and I grab the film vial, and I put it in my pocket, and I'm on my way out the door, and she goes, "What do you got in your pocket?" I said, "Nothing." She goes, "Show me." I said, "Nope." She goes, "Rick, grab him." They jump up, he grabs me, and they try wrestling my arm out of my pocket, but I just we used to wear Vision streetwear shoes, tight Levi's, and a heavy metal t-shirt, and I just kind of like flexed my arm and kept it in my pocket. And she goes, "Let me see what's in your pocket. I'm calling the cops." I thought there's no way she's calling the cops, because if they showed up, I could have went, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's a pound of, like 3 pounds of marijuana, like 3/4 of a pound of mushrooms, an ounce of meth, and a 38 special sitting right on top. If you just pull the bottom drawer out, open the cupboard next to it, and reach lift up the floorboard, you find it right there. I could have said that, but I didn't. When they asked me where I got him, the police showed up, and they asked me where I got him. I said, I got him from some guy downtown. I don't know his name.
You didn't say I got it. This is my mom's.
No.
Because you're protecting them, probably. Yeah.
And I was protecting my mom even though she wasn't protecting me. And then 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in front of my PO. I got on probation for stealing cigarettes out of the store. And she tells my PO what happened, and they both convinced me that I should go in front of Judge Brown and tell him what happened. So I trusted them, and I did, and I wound up with my first felony. And then I started going to treatment, like this boys ranch. I went there, and I got in trouble because I got in a fight with this one boy. They used to try to pick on me because I was young, but I was big too. So I was a prime candidate to like pick on, you know what I'm saying? I was the youngest kid in there anyways. We got into it, and then so they made us mow the lawn on the weekend. Well, while we were mowing the lawn, we became buddies and we started huffing gas, and then they caught us huffing the gas, and then so they called the sheriff out as a thing that they did on the weekend. If we were being troublesome, they'd send us to juvie for the rest of the weekend and come get us on Monday. Well, we decided we weren't going to juvie, and the cops showed up. We took off running off into the woods, and then in the middle of the night, along some dark road, we found a Honda that was in a carport with the keys in it, and we decided he should drive since he was older. And we drove into town, and I was going to go to my mom's house. I didn't know where to go, you know. And police pulled us over before we got there, and then so that was my second felony. And then after that,
How old were you then?
I was 12.
12.
And so they put me in this treatment home, and I was they said I couldn't see my family anymore and stuff like that, and so I got really depressed, and I cut myself really good. And the staff member said that he saw me sitting on the corner of my bed inside a pool of my blood, watching it, smoking a cigarette, watching myself bleed out. And he said, well, why'd you do it? And I told him to get out of the system. And so they put me in, they had a psychological test and all that stuff done on me, and they let me go home to my grandmother's, and I improved in every area of myself. I worked all day long for my grandpa. They had a little bit of a farm, a ranch. I mean, I bucked hay. I helped maintain 2 gardens. I fed cows and chickens and pigs and turkeys, and that's about it. Anyways, and I built a tree house that's still standing to this day, and that was about a month and a half, and then school started, and my best buddy, who I've been best buddies with since I was 4 years old, lived down the road, and he was moving away, and we thought we'd never see each other again, so I skipped a day of school to hang out with him down at the river, and it was cool, you know what I'm saying, like, and everything, but I had to make up for it on Saturday school. I was making up for that day on Saturday school, and I skipped school and I didn't skip school, but I got caught smoking in the boys' room. You know.
What age were you at this time?
I was 12.
Still 12.
Yeah, and this is all before 12 and a half. I turned 12 in April, so I started school. I was almost 12 and a half. I got caught smoking, but like in every area of myself, I'd improved. I quit doing drugs. I was hanging out with more popular kids. I was planning to play sports for the team, you know what I'm saying, for the school and everything, and football in particular. And because I'd done those things, skipped school and hang out with my friend, and then I got caught smoking, they sent me to juvie prison for a year and a half. And after that, it was pretty bad. I didn't spend much time out. And when I turned 18, I assaulted a sex offender who raped a 14-year-old girl that my cousin had raised from the time she was 8. and I recognized him. He called us out, pulled his truck in the parking lot, jumped out. Me and him got into it. I struck him 3 times with my fists and 4 times with my feet, and they had a measure 11 in Oregon. It been enacted that year. It's a tough on crime for violent crimes, and of course I'm a candidate. He got 9 titanium plates in his head and face and plastic and fiberglass to replace bone fragmentation or whatever. I didn't know my strength. I was only 18. I didn't mean to hurt him that bad. I meant to kick his ass. That's it. And that's all I did do. I mean, on the surface, it struck a person a total of 7 times. It rapes a little girl. I mean, that's not bad, is it? But there was injury involved, so I went to prison for 6 years, day for day.
And you're 18, so you're going to prison.
Yeah.
And this is in Oregon.
Yeah. And I did day for day, and so I didn't have much incentive to stay out of trouble in there. Yeah, so I got out 11 and a half years under my belt, and 7 of them in solitary confinement when I was 24 and a half. And
how do you get yourself in there? Holy shit.
how do I what?
You're in solitary.
Yeah.
Why did they put you in there?
Everything from, well, just like one time was like inciting a riot, drug smuggling, assault, and I conspired with a security threat group to extort and assault sex offenders. So they punished me, man. I got punished. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like after my first arrest, like the assault 2 and the assault 3, and a resistant arrest, and then I caught a jailhouse assault, which I actually did 71 months my first time in. The 2 misdemeanors equal a felony, so 3 felonies was, you're maxed out on the grid after that. 3 felony person-to-person crimes, even though I'd only been to jail once. And so anything I ever did, I got punished for. And what was real bad is I didn't even realize it until years later, until not that long ago actually, is I was targeted by the police in my community. And after that, because Shirley Peters, the first female Medford police officer, testified in my behalf and said that they used said there was excessive force and said that she agreed there was police brutality, what they did to me when they arrested me. And plus a bunch of other witnesses, and then so they blamed me for that. And so my first arrest, there's 2 bullet holes in my son's bedroom when I got out of prison, fresh, like only a week old. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna stay there at the house and hold it down, right? That's what I did, and they arrested me for being in a drug zone, for being at my baby's mom's house, and the cop, I've never seen him before. He don't know me, I don't know him, but he knows of me, apparently. He's looking at me in the rearview mirror and he's saying, man, why didn't you resist? And I'm looking at him like, why would I resist? This is my first violation. I just did 6 years. I could do this violation standing on my head. You know what I'm saying? He's like, but man, I wish you would have resisted though. Why didn't you resist? I heard you were a person who likes to resist. I said, like I said, why would I resist? This is nothing. And he's like, I said, why do you want me to resist so bad for? And he said, so I could be the one to smoke your ass. And I just like, I thought it was nothing, no big deal. I was used to cops not liking me, but not on the level that they did. I got falsely accused of a lot of stuff just because it's a small community, and every cop in that community, like I'd go to get out from doing a violation, and they would have meetings on where I would be and where they could find me and stuff like that, like where I was getting paroled to release to, stuff like that. And so that was all bad. I had to leave home eventually. I wanted to go out to California, which wasn't good. I wound up, it was a good start, but I think I had contamination in my mind that I didn't deserve anything good in my life, so I never really did.
Yeah, you had that message from a young age.
Yeah.
And from the systems and all that stuff. You mentioned it started out good. Tell me some good. It doesn't have to be in California either. I mean, sounds like you have a son.
Yeah, that was after all this. He turned 18 and he came looking for me because he was taken from his mom's custody before I got out done doing the 6 years. And he found me, and he's the reason I came to Seattle. He performed at the Seattle Seahawks Stadium in the Google Play Xbox 360 function they do every 2 years. They bring the best athletes from the 5 states of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Alaska, and they have them compete at various competitions. And he competed. He took 3rd place in the 7th grade and 3rd place in the 9th grade. So he's almost like for sure to win it in the 11th. But his adopted mom, for some reason, didn't think thought he needed to pay more attention to his chores or something. Anyways, he took 3rd total, but was notable because he's not even a quarterback, because he threw the ball further than anybody in those 5 states, not being a quarterback. So that was like pretty special for him, memorable. And he wanted me to see Seattle, so I came up here to Seattle.
So he found, when he turned 18.
He came and found me, yeah.
How long ago was that?
8 years ago.
Tell me about that story. I mean, what was that like?
We pulled up in his car and he smiled.
Where were you?
I just came down the stairs.
Oh, you were living somewhere?
In my house, yeah. I came down the stairs and he looks over the top of his car at me and he goes, dude, he goes, do you ever age? I told him.
You knew who he was?
Yeah. We arranged for it and everything, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, gotcha.
We were talking, we were in communication and stuff. That's why I stayed in Oregon, to be with him. I thought I'd make myself available if that's what he wanted to do, you know what I'm saying? So we became real close. He became my workout partner. I never once showed him how to do anything wrong. Always taught him right. And I wound up here, and he went back home. But we're still in touch and everything, but he's got his own life, you know.
Yeah. He knows where you are.
He says he wants to see me real bad and stuff, but I really don't have transportation. But my mom's old and she's not doing well, so I need to go back home and see her pretty soon.
Has he come up here, back up to see you?
No, he stayed down there. The reason I stayed is because I'd have been in violation of my probation. We got a room at the Olive 8 because I paid his car insurance, and he got hit while I was doing a violation in this jail. And so when he picked me up, he says, "Hey, because you paid my insurance, we got $2,000 on this card for them hitting my door. And all you had to do was slam the door to get the dome light to turn off. It was still a brand new car. And he got 2 racks, and he was like, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "You want to go see your grandpa?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go see grandpa." It was March 7th, 8 years ago. And my dad was he was going to school at the time. And he said that, why don't you guys wait a week so I can spend some time with you? Actually spend some time with you, you know what I'm saying? I'm really busy right now. You're like, you guys come out here, and it's like, we wouldn't even get to hang out. I'm like, okay. So we decided to wait a week, but we came up here instead. And then that week turned into 8 years.
Is your grandpa still around?
It's his grandpa, my dad.
Gotcha. Oh, your dad. Gotcha. Still around.
Yeah, still doing good.
So you guys just got stuck. 8 years just stuck here.
It's weird, man, how everything follows you. I've stayed out of jail for the most part since I've been in Seattle. And like I said, the police, they had worse intentions than just arresting me back home. I was on a hit list that my friend found out about because there's this PO that turned into a tweaker, and everybody was scared to like serve him drugs except for my homegirl. And she went over to serve him one day. She was in his room, and see, her dad, they tried to frame her dad. He's always done good his whole life, but they tried to frame her dad for some bank robberies. And he took them to trial, beat their hands down, exposed a judge and 2 police officers, because the police officers actually were doing the robberies, and the judge was covering up for him. And he was on their hit list too. Like, they wanted to take him out, so he had to move away. And I was in the same list. She found out because Shirley Peters testified for me in '95, and I didn't realize it. But if I go home, I got to be real kind of secretive and stuff like that.
Yeah. Scared to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Miko, what would you want the people of Seattle to know?
Well, I would want people, these people are, they don't live cleanly. I do, on the other, you look at my tent, there's no garbage around it. I got a barbecuer next door, and there's a garbage can for waste. The inside of my tent, you know what I'm saying, has only what you could fit in there, obviously, but like, I'm not trying to turn their street into my home, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to live on the street, you know what I'm saying? Like, and while a lot of bad things are attached to people that live in like these encampments, it's not the people that live here that are doing the bad things. It's the people that come to visit and take advantage and exploit us that are doing the bad things, and that's the truth.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean?
Well, people coming down here to sell drugs or whatever. Drugs always seems like the center of it. It's not. It's a sense of hopelessness. You know what I'm saying? And it's really not, like today there's been some sunshine, but it's been really bad lately, you know what I'm saying? Like cold and wet out here, you know. But I know you hear of things that happen like stolen this, that, property and shit like that. I see people like that and I tell them to get the hell away from me, get out of here, scram. I try to keep I want people to use the sidewalk that I'm got a tent on, I don't want them to use the street. When I start seeing them use the street, I start getting mad at my neighbors and be like, why aren't these people using the sidewalk? Like, they took that stuff to the other side of the street for now, like, I don't know. They don't like living around me, but like there's one girl, she holds down a job, works full time, overtime even. But she can't do it on her own, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Pay rent and stuff like that.
It's an expensive city.
Yeah.
How do you cope? How do you cope with all that? I mean, that's a.
I find myself real angry a lot of the time. Like I've been, and the bad thing about that is I find that my anger actually works. Like if I show that I'm angry towards people, then they start doing the right thing. And so that's kind of bad. Like it's not good for me to be angry though, you know what I'm saying? Like, I try to talk till I'm blue in the face and then I end up flashing on somebody, you know what I'm saying? But I don't try to abuse people or anything like that. I just don't want them to freaking, if one of us does something, then the rest of us look guilty of it, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing I would like, just because one person does something, don't let it reflect on everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, there's a lot of despicable people out here, real bad people, you know what I'm saying? Like, but the ones that live around, we hold each other accountable for the more so than the people that are watching this might think. You know what I'm saying? Like, I for one don't want to be a stain on this community, or make people not use the sidewalk. You know.
Well, you're not. You're not, man. We're neighbors. You're not a stain, so. Yeah, man. Well, anything else you want to say?
Love you guys.
Man, well, thank you for your time, Miko. I appreciate it. Telling your story. That's you got some heavy stuff, man. You got a heavy narrative.